Hey there, this is Peter Price on the campus of Huntington University, and you're listening to Rooted. Make sure you subscribe to Rooted wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find us by searching Forrester Radio Rooted. And you can also catch Rooted every Thursday evening at 7 on 105.5 WQHU. And as always, you can stream Forrester Radio anytime, anywhere on ForresterRadio.com. Well, I'm here with Bailey Testerman, the RA of Roush First.
Yep.
Here at Huntington University. And Bailey, I know you pretty well. Me and you were friends. But
yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, I am a sophomore film production major. As Peter said, I'm the RA on Roush First, but I am also a member of the DMA marketing team that puts out DMA Days every week, a little web series that kind of lets people know what's going on in the DMA department at all times. I'm also a worker in the equipment center in Becker, and I think that mostly is like what I'm involved in here at HU. So
well, there you go. Now, the people who might not know you, you are on the shorter end of this.
Yeah.
Not to try sound rude, but like, has that ever been like, have people harassed you about that? Has it been like, have you been like, is bullying a problem with it?
Yeah, for sure. So I am 4'9". My parents, my dad is 5'4" and my mom's 5'2", so I think I was always kind of destined to be on the shorter side. However, I am by far the shortest of our family. And I am the shortest in most of my classes here, but also like I was the shortest in my classes when I went to public school and elementary school and stuff. And so I became homeschooled in 5th grade, and the bullying like definitely subsided from there on out. But when I was in public school, I remember like being on the intramural basketball team, and I thought I was good. Like I thought I was a decent basketball player, and my dad thought so too. My dad's a big basketball fan, but like. One of the girls on our team, she was actually the coach's daughter, which kind of was an interesting dynamic. But I would be on offense, and I would be like headed toward the basket, to score for our team. And every single time she would swoop in, and she would be on defense even some of these times. She would swoop in and take the ball from my hand instead of like allowing me to pass it to her. And as she like took it from me, she would be like, "I'll take it from here, shrimp." And, like, I just remember being really upset at those types of things because I think height does not define talent, does not define skill. And so yeah, there were definitely several situations like that throughout my younger years where I guess I was harassed and called names, picked on and stuff. Basically, like, other people just always made my height a bigger deal than what it was to me.
Yeah. But, like, with that kind of bullying, with that kind of harassment, what kind of things did it do to you personally? Like, did it bring you down? Because I know you, and you're a fairly positive person. But, like, did this bring you down?
Yeah, I'm not a quitter at all. Like I'm a relatively driven person for the most part. And yet because of that like one situation specifically, speaking of like the basketball team, I quit the basketball team 2 games before we went to state.
Wow.
Because like the bullying just got so bad. Like I remember practicing for the state game, and that one girl who, and I still can't even believe that like the coach let her do that, especially because it was his daughter. But she like swooped in, took the ball from me, and she actually threw it at the back of my head, and it bounced off the back of my head, and like she caught it again and then scored the ball, a goal, or not a goal, a basket. She scored for our team, even though it was just like a practice game. And I had a migraine for the rest of the day, and I
can imagine.
Yeah, and it was definitely a hurtful experience. And after that practice, I went home And I told my parents, I have to quit. Like, I can't be on this team anymore. And my parents tried to convince me not to do that. And they called the coach about it. And the coach was, he was apologetic, but he didn't do anything. He didn't step up for me while we were actually practicing, while we were actually playing games. And so my pride and my confidence more than anything was just, that definitely took a toll on my confidence, and I quit basketball because of that, and I haven't played since. So just stuff like that. It was definitely difficult to go through. And then also more recently, I started a business, a wedding videography business when I was 14. And, as a kid, you're just kind of naive enough to think, this is going to work. There's no reason why this shouldn't work. Even though starting a wedding business at 14, that's a little crazy. But I guess I was just naive enough to not think of it as crazy. And so I just kind of went with it. But there were a lot of people who questioned me toward the beginning, thinking that I was even younger than 14, thinking I was 9 or 10, and not trusting me at all. And even now that I've been doing that for 5 years and I've put a portfolio together and stuff, people are still apprehensive to hire me. They know my age. They know I'm 20 years old, and yet I look like a child. And so there's some apprehension there. I think they think I would be more capable if I was taller. And that's a shame because, like I already said, I don't think height has much to do with skill. So
with your job and everything, do you think with people hearing about, or just do you think conversations happen where it's oh, did you hear about this kid who's doing video stuff or wedding stuff, instead of just oh, this is a 20-year-old,
right?
Do you think stuff like that goes around?
Yeah, I'm referred to as a child a lot more than I would like to be referred to as a child, I guess. So yeah, that's definitely a part of it. But for me, I've already stated that I'm pretty driven, and that definitely drives me to be even better, to prove myself even more. That hey, I am young, but the Bible says that we shouldn't look down on people because they are young. And that's definitely something that I've taken to heart. And in the same way, I don't think people should look down on me just because I'm short. They're obviously going to have to look down on me in one way, physically, literally look down on me.
Fair
but
enough.
I don't want them to think less of me because of my size.
So has with the the middle school harassment and stuff like that,
Yeah.
did it affect you in other ways? Did the bullying just stop was it just stopped on the court, or was it around others? Were other people talking? What?
Yeah, there were people follow. And so this one girl who had established herself as a leader on the team, especially because she was the coach's daughter, she was a leader, and other people followed her. And so whatever she did to me, other people kind of started to do as well. And I could tell that that they didn't want to. They didn't want to be mean to me, and they knew what they were doing was wrong. But peer pressure is a really powerful thing. And so they just kind of fell into this, and it became a ripple effect. One person did it, and the next person did it. And before I knew it, I really didn't have many friends on the team. And so there was no reason for me to stay.
With everything we've talked about, you use the words picking on and we use harassing and some. What do you think draws the line from just normal picking on, having a good time, from actual bullying?
Yeah, for sure. That's a great question. I think sarcasm, you have to be fragile, or gentle, I should say, in your usage of sarcasm when you are dealing with someone who is different than you. Physically, mentally, if they're different than you and maybe you don't understand where they are at in life, what they deal with on a daily basis, I think you have to be very careful with how you use sarcasm. And so I know that the girls on the basketball team, a lot of what they said were just jokes, and they were just trying to be funny and trying to be sarcastic. But it's not funny to the person who's on the other end of the jokes. And to those like listening that maybe they've had jokes said about them, I would just say that your feelings are valid. And a lot of people might tell you, oh, come on, it's a joke. Just take it. It's funny. And like I would just tell you that if you feel in your heart that you're hurt by it, then it's not a joke, and it's okay to be hurt. And also, like, eventually I've eventually gotten to the place where like you develop a tough skin, and you start to realize, you start to be able to filter like what is actually said in love, and like what actually is just kind of like a loving joke, and what's actually said to be a jab, like to get under your skin and stuff. So you can kind of like start to filter out those different things. But yeah, I think laughing at yourself is imperative too. You can like, I make so many short jokes on a daily basis. And I can, because I am short, so there's an advantage there. And I think, as you grow up, you learn to appreciate it, and you also learn to stand up for yourself. So if someone does cross a line, and just goes too far, then I'll just politely tell them. I try not to like maybe I feel humiliated by something that they've said, and so I try not to humiliate them in my confrontation. So I will pull them aside. Like if we're in a group, I will pull them aside and tell them that I was hurt by that, versus like ripping them apart in front of other people. Because in a situation like that, I want to be the bigger person. Not literally, but I want to be just as mature and as understanding as possible, while still letting them know how I feel.
Now I know that kind of stuff can be really hard, being the bigger person and everything.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, how if someone was like, they're right in the middle of all this, they just but they've tried to be the bigger person, it just doesn't stop. What words of wisdom, advice, encouragement, what kind of things would you tell that person?
I think age, like, it depends on one's age. But for me, like, when I really dealt with like actual bullying, I was young, and I just didn't have, like, I wasn't equipped with the skills that I needed in order to handle those situations. And so I went to my parents, and I don't feel like anyone should be considered weak for going to their parents about a situation like that, because our parents, were given to us for a reason, and they have wisdom far beyond our wisdom. And so my parents were like, obviously they questioned the decision to quit. They wanted to make sure that I was quitting for the right reasons, and that I wasn't just giving up. So your parents might push back a little bit, but ultimately your parents are going to be on your side. And so I think that that's really important. And then also, so, now I'm in college, and my parents are 3 hours away. So what do I do now if I feel picked on or whatever? My roommate, my roommate is a great source. If you know Sharice Wingo, you know that she's going to stand up for me. And so my roommate stands up for me, and I try to stand up for her. My roommate is African American, and she definitely receives some harassment for that aspect of her. And, I try to stand up for her in that regard, and she tries to stand up for me when I'm picked on because I am short. So it's a two-way street. And I think just like knowing that the people around you love you and are there to support you, like, please, 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 please believe that, because it's true.
Well, thank you so much, Bailey. Those are some great words of wisdom.
Thank you.
But thank you so much for joining us here on Rooted. It's been a blast talking to you, and it was a lot of fun just to hear all these stories and listen to all this.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and I hope everyone knows that Jesus made you the way you are, and he loves you the way you are. And so if you get anything out of this, I hope that's what you get out of it. So thank you so much for having me, Peter.
over the air in Huntington or anytime, anywhere at forresterradio.com. Stay rooted, HU.